Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman. Let me recognize the gentlelady, Ms. Plaskett, from the Virgin Islands.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you so much, Madam Ambassador, not only for your eloquence and so much information you've been able to share with us, but of course for your patience. I wanted to ask you a number of questions. The first of which is the United States and the Caribbean community, CARICOM, signed a trade and investment framework agreement in 2013. Have you been able to ascertain what has been the extent of U.S. cooperation and engagement with CARICOM under the engagement since you've taken office?
Congresswoman, I don't have that in my head. I'm not sure I have it in my notes with me today, but if you have the answer, please let me know to spare me the embarrassment.
Oh, I don't, and I was hoping you could inform me. I'd love to be able to talk with you and your staff at another point. I think then Vice President Biden really outlined some great engagement with the CARICOM nations, and just wanted to ensure that we were participating and still engaged. I don't know to what extent the previous administration had done so, and so wanted to put that on your radar. But with that in mind, I just know that China has increased its economic linkages throughout the Caribbean region, even though several countries in the region continue to recognize and be engaged with Taiwan. How do you view China's growing economic engagement in the Caribbean basin at this time? And do you have any recommendations for increasing the U.S.'s engagement in the Caribbean basin in terms of trade and investments to counter the influence of China in the region?
Thank you so much. I think, again, the Chinese have deployed their efforts and their resources very strategically around the world, and we need to pick up our pace in terms of engaging with our friends, our neighbors, our close neighbors, especially in the Caribbean, to show our leadership and our partnership. I do want to say that I think that the countries in CARICOM, in the Caribbean, it is just the right thing for us to do to be really robustly engaged. Set aside China, but you put China in the equation, and we have even more reason to be enhancing our engagement. Let me check on the question you've asked about the TIFA engagement across the board. I think that there are a lot of these trade and investment framework agreements that we have struck as the United States with other partners. And it is a program that I think we need to reactivate across the board.
The gentlelady, Ambassador, would you suspend for a moment? Somebody needs to mute that's on the call so we can hear from Representative Plaskett and from Ambassador Tai. Gentlelady would proceed.
I'll just round out my last thought here. I will share with you at the Senate Finance Committee that Senator Cardin raised the issue of U.S. Engagement with the Caribbean as well. And so knowing the level of interest here, let us give some thought to this. I know I have team members who are thinking about this, but I look forward to the opportunity to follow up with you with more details in response to your question.
Thank you so much. And just keeping in discussions with China, I know that's been the focus of a lot of questions. I wanted to ask about the challenges that U.S. farmers have who want to use agricultural innovations like biotechnology. I also have sat for a number of terms on the Agriculture Committee, particularly in the biotech area. And Chinese regulatory approval often takes 6 to 8 years after a product is legal to grow in the U.S. This delay is largely because China requires a series of in-country tests. The Phase 1 agreement made progress to address this, committing China to complete biotechnology approvals in an average of 2 years. Unfortunately, there's been little evidence of implementation of these commitments. As you engage your counterparts and discuss the status of Phase 1 agreement, what steps will you take to push for systematic change to ensure American agriculture have access to these innovative production tools to be resilient and self-sustaining?
Well, that's right. There are commitments in the current agreement with China on ag biotech. And I think we start with looking at China's performance and assessing what our next steps are. In terms of systematic change, I guess what I would say is we're always looking for systemic change with respect to Chinese economic policies. The more they can meet us in terms of their policies and practices, just a better, more fair and smoother global economy we will have. So it's a question we are very focused on, but I also want to acknowledge that there have been decades of negotiators ahead of me who have been pressing for that kind of systemic structural change from China across the board. It is a very hard road to hoe, and I just want to acknowledge that just because we haven't had success before doesn't mean we stop trying. But I do want to set some expectations.
I thank the gentlelady for her inquiry.